Hey guys, welcome back to Selling Your Print in Artist Alley. So today we're going to be talking about the following: the size of your prints, your customer's preference, the type of paper you use, how many you should have in stock, how should you price, and my final notes. All right, you know what they say, size does matter when it comes down to prints. Or does it? Is it a matter of preference? Who does it matter more to? So I can tell you right now, what I typically see when I'm at events are 4x6, 8.5 by 11, and 11 by 17. Now, I've only used 4x6 for postcards. I never really actually used it for prints. And I steer away from 8.5 by 11, but that I see a lot of other fellow artists use those two sizes. And they do very well with them. 11 by 17 I do have. I do use 11 by 17, but I stopped from it. So I'm gonna tell you why I stopped using 11 by 17. I do have a large inventory of prints, but I will no longer be going that route because they're harder to transport. They get damaged easier, and I don't have a big demand for it. What works for me is 5 by 7 and 8 by 8. For some reason, number one, it's easier to display, and they both fit in because I'm a comic artist. So when I'm shipping out, because I have an online store, when I'm shipping out my stuff, it fits inside the trilogy boxes, right? So it's easier to pack, it's easier to transport. So I think it works well for me. But what should you consider? Is it your preference or is it the customer's preference? What I would suggest is figure out what the customer likes. What are they attracted to when they come to your table, right? And how can you gauge that, right? You look at how many units have sold, but also if you're collecting emails, send an email blast, send a survey, use it on your channel to find out and gauge what your customer is more into and what would they prefer. Again, it's all about preference. But I prefer, again, 5 by 7 and 8 by 8. I do have a game changer, and it's a way to make even more sales with your print game, right? But to find that out, you need to subscribe, hit that bell, and leave a comment saying you want to know more, and that video will be posted soon, but it's really only for subscribers. But if you want to know what that game changer is, subscribe today. So, the types of paper. What are the types of paper should you use, matte or glossy, right? That's the big question. Should I go with matte? Should I go with glossy? I can tell you right now, I do gloss all the time because I have a lot of colors. I have a lot of shading, and so I prefer gloss. The only times I use matte is if I have simple art, where there's just two tones, right? It's the flat color and one other shade of color. So if I have a blue tone and I have a darker blue to accentuate a shade, that's it. Or if I'm just doing line art prints, that's when I'll use matte. But generally, for me, it's usually glossy all the time. But again, it's prints. And it's easy to put in sleeves. So, some people are more concerned about fingerprints on gloss, but most of my prints, basically all my prints, I put them in a bag. So they come in a plastic sleeve, just like you would with a bag and board with a comic book. My prints will be, when you get a print from me at an event or from my online store, you'll get it in a sleeve. Before you consider going the extra mile, right, with holofoil, gold, sparkle, all those things, you got to consider one thing. Are you starting out, or have been in the game and you have a big following? So if you're just starting out, you don't want to break the bank. Your goal is to sell your work, build a fan base, and grow your business. So you don't want to break the bank, and you don't have to go and try to dazzle everybody with these beautiful extra, because sometimes you might find that it just sits there. So what I would suggest is, before you go that route, focus on your matte or glossy prints. Just do a few prints and save all of that extra stuff for when you've grown your audience and now you want to give something extra to your fans, right? That's a great incentive, a great way to grow your business. As your business grows, then the quality of the material you choose will grow with it, right? And so it goes hand in hand. So in the beginning, I would just steer away from any of that stuff.
Ah.
Now the bigger question is, how many should I print? Good question. So I have an online store, right? And so I sell my prints online. And I do about maybe 9 to 12 conventions. I'm scheduled to do 9 to 12 in 2023, right? I did 6 this year. So I usually print about 25 of everything that I have in stock, because I use a third-party printer. I don't print from home. So I use a third-party printer, and so I have about 25. So when I go to the conventions, it's easier because they all go into one box. So I have about 20 different prints, and that's just me because I am slowly growing my audience. I have about 20 different prints and about 25 of each, and they all fit nicely in one size box, and it's easy for me to transport. It's not so heavy. But if you're just starting out, and gauge, again, use the surveys. The surveys are they're useful tools. So put up your prints and see which ones, whether it's on your vlog or it's on your website or through social media, and get your audience to give you feedback on which ones that they would be more inclined to, that they're attracted to. And then maybe that one you print more of for a specific event. So you never know. So don't go with more than 5 to 10 to a show. And also consider the size of your show. If you're doing a New York Comic Con or a San Diego Comic Con, or another big event? Sorry, I got lost for a second. And you might want to print more. But if you're doing a small local show, 5 to 10. No, don't go beyond that. And I think that makes the difference. Now, the bigger question is, how much do you charge? Many things to consider. I charge anywhere between $5 to $10 for my prints. And the reason why is because they're add-on sales to generate sales for my comic books, my children's books, my coloring books, all my books. So what I do is I offer it's an incentive. So if you buy, it's drive my book sales. So it's $5 for the print. Some print are $10, but if you buy the book, you'll probably get a discount. So a $10 print might come out to $5. All depends. So you want to use the print as a starting point and to drive incremental sales and to continue to grow your business and offer deals and discounts, And again, as always, look at what your competitors are doing so that way you don't outprice yourself and that you stay relevant and competitive with everyone else. You might be the lowest guy in the game, but people might say, well, maybe he's not a big enough artist. That's why he's so cheap. Right, so you don't want to be too low, and you don't want to outprice yourself and be ahead of the competition, over the competition, especially if you haven't built that foundation yet. So 11 by 17s, you can go as high as 20, but I wouldn't go beyond that unless you have a huge demand. So again, consider what your competition is doing it for and the size, and then you should be fine. Prints are great add-on sales. They're great to starting conversations. They're great starting points to build a relationship with the consumer, where you're at an event or online. So use that as a starting point to drive the other products that you're trying to move, unless you're just a print artist. But I find that the prints work. It basically attracts people to my table, and then I can say, well, these prints are based off this character which is in this book, and then I can go from there and I can tell them about the story. It's great for additional sales, right? It's just like when you go to a Marshall's, you get in that queue line, and then you got that line. There's all these knickknacks that are in that line, and people stop and they start last minute things. They start picking up and putting in their baskets. They got goodies and all that stuff. That's what I think prints are for. They're those add-on sales, right? And again, it's great for selling my books. So what do you think? If you like this video, if you have any questions, please leave it. If you feel I didn't answer enough, leave your questions in the comments below, and I will answer it, whether it's about this video or future videos. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button, ring that bell so you'll be notified on future videos. Again, if you're interested in any of my work, just go to dudysworld.com and you can get my prints, my books, and all that stuff. And if you haven't done so already, sign up for my Kickstarter, which launches January 3rd. Thank you for watching.